Hello everyone, my name's Ben, I'm 18 and from England. I'm basically making this video for families who have to deal with motor neuron disease. I've kind of looked through YouTube and not really found an awful lot of videos like this, or not very much about motor neuron disease. So hopefully these videos will help some of you out there. I find it kind of helps if you can relate to someone, or if you know someone else who's going through the same thing. Because one of the big things what always winds me up is when people say, "Oh, I know what you're going through." Well, they won't. The only people who know what you're going through is the people going through the same as you. So for those of you having to live with motor neuron disease, I am as well. So you can always put a comment on my YouTube, asking questions, or asking how I deal with things, or anything like that. Anything I can do to help anyone else, I will do the best I can. So anyway, I'll start with a bit about me and my family life and how it begun. Basically, it all begun quite a few months back, when Mum and Dad were going to the hospital quite a lot for Dad to get tested. Basically, I knew something wasn't quite right. Of course, that's why he's going to hospital. I knew something wasn't quite right with his muscles, because, for example, he used to do a lot of weight training, and so do I. I probably don't look it, but we both, used to really love weight training, and he would go into the garage quite a lot to weight train, and he wasn't lifting what he used to be able to lift, and he eventually dropped down to about 25 kilograms on bench press, which for him was quite a significant drop. For me, that was quite suspicious, because I kept telling him these different routines to do and different exercises to build up his chest muscles, and instead he was getting worse. So that was the main thing what made me wonder, about what was going on. But of course they were going to the hospital quite a lot, getting all these tests done, but they didn't really tell me much about it. They were both quite a bit stressed, they were quite snappy, but I figured, well, that's probably just because of these tests, and it could be some sort of imbalance. I wasn't really too sure. But anyways, one day on a Wednesday, I come home from college. They come back soon after, and they said, "Oh, can you sit down? We need to talk." Which obviously, that's not the words you want to hear from your parents at all. So I sat down. Obviously, they broke the news to me then that Dad had motor neuron disease. Initially, I didn't know very much about motor neuron disease at all. Well, I didn't really have a clue about it. So I asked about it, and obviously that's when I found out just how serious the disease actually is. So obviously it hit me quite hard. I went from not suspecting anything bad to suddenly realising that my dad's only got a few years left to live. So that was quite tough. Obviously, as you can imagine, the next day I wasn't up for going to college, so I stayed in all day and went to gym. I think it's kind of hard to explain, but I find it usually hits me subconsciously as well. So, for example, a few weeks after I found out about it, I thought I was handling it quite well, considering what I just found out. I wasn't too upset, I wasn't showing how upset I was, or, I was just getting on with things. But I was finding little things were really affecting me. So, for example, my driving, I couldn't drive my car properly at all. I kept stalling it all the time, which I rarely ever do. I don't really stall my car often, but I kept doing it all the time. Forgetting little things, and initially I thought it was the car, or other things really. I didn't really think that it was just me. So with my car I was getting really angry, thinking, oh, it's something's not right with it. You know, maybe the clutch is going in my car. And obviously, it kind of dawned on me a little while after that actually this is all me, and this is just all this stuff building up. You know, it's affecting me without me even realising. It's quite weird. You know, it's all part of the shock process. You know, you're kind of in shock for a little while after, and it affects everything else. So that really was quite bad. Obviously, it got better through time. I'm quite a lot better now. But, you know, sometimes I'll still get a bit forgetful over things, or I'll do something really stupid and think, why did I just do that? You know, but at the end of the day, that's all normal. You know, I'm sure there's other people out there which do exactly the same. If you're one of those people like me who get frustrated about these things, don't let it annoy you, because at the end of the day, if you're going through what I'm going through, you're under a lot of stress. You know, there's so many things what can stress you out, and chances are, if you're like me, you'll find that the smallest little things will bug you so much. For example, I don't know, if I hit my leg on a table, most other people will laugh about it or just not react to it or not get annoyed about it. But me, for example, will get really angry about it. You know, I'll get furious at it, or any other little things like the laptop. So my laptop's playing up, I'll get really angry. You know, that's all normal. You know, that's just your way of releasing it all. Chances are that's not the big problem. You're probably holding all these feelings and you're releasing it every time something small happens. That's definitely what I found with me. I found with the first few weeks after, I was feeling really aggressive, really angry, really spiteful, just not myself at all. You know, if I went into town and I saw people smoking or taking drugs or anything like that, I'd be furious, because I just, you know, I'd suddenly think, why isn't it they are going to die in a few years' time when they're the ones not looking after themselves? You know, my dad's always looked after himself, you know, eats quite healthily, and then, you know, you see them doing all these things to themselves, you know, just harming themselves, and they could live for another 20 odd years. So that was one of the main things that really affected me. That definitely used to bug me a lot. And I wasn't the only one who sort of went through that. I think we all did. You know, we was all angry, confused, upset, disappointed. But, you know, these things do happen. You just kind of got to make the best of it. I mean, there's not many good ways of making the best of a situation like this. But I find the best way for me to think of it is this. And the story of that basically is, a couple of weeks after we found out, you know, we were all angry, confused, upset, especially my dad. And I remember my mum going to my dad, and she said to him, okay, I know how bad the situation is, you know, we're all upset about it. She said, but you've got to remember this, you could have been killed yesterday by anything. And yeah, you wouldn't have suffered, or you might not have suffered, but if you could either get killed yesterday or live another few years, you know, doing what you want to do, doing everything you've always wanted to do, and spending time with your family, what would you pick? And that kind of made me think, you know, it is a bad situation, but there's always someone worse off. You know, for me, I think, yeah, this is a tough time for me, because, you know, I've got the problems with my dad, you know, I've just lost my job, so I haven't got a lot of money, you know, it's not a very good climate in England. But at the end of the day, you know, I know everyone says it, but look at people in Africa. You've got children out there who've lost both of their parents, can't feed themselves, can't water themselves. You know, there's always somebody worse off. And when you think of it in the big picture, there's worse things than motor neuron disease out there. You want to see it for the good points. I know it sounds a bit silly, but you got to think of all the good points, and that being that, you know, you got another few years with them. You can do everything they want to do. You know, you can be with them all the time. So that's the way to think of it. And even losing my job, you know, because of budget cuts and all this rubbish, I thought, well, to be honest, I hated my job anyway. In my previous job, I was a lifeguard, which, you know, sounds exciting, but I used to hate it. You know, you'd sit there and do not very much. You know, you had to clean. The wages were terrible. I used to dread going. But when I lost my job, obviously I was annoyed about it. I thought about the money. But I thought, well, actually, that's kind of a good thing, because that means I get to stay at home. My parents will support me financially. You know, I can focus more on college. You know, spend a bit more time with Dad. And just do what I want to do. Money's not a problem at the moment. You know, money's the last thing we need to be stressing about. So I kind of see that as a good thing. And all these bad things what happen, you need to just kind of think of all the positives to it. You know, so losing your job, think of it that way. Motor neuron disease, think of something worse. And try and be grateful for that. Always think about the things you've got rather than what you haven't got. Because if you fall into that negative trap, it's going to be a lot harder for you to come out of that trap. So you always want to see a light at the end of the tunnel, because there always is. There's always something worse going on. You know, just see the good points. Always see the good points. I find the worst thing you can do is feel alone. You know, motor neuron disease isn't that common. You know, there's cancer, which is extremely common. You know, you've got all these different things, but motor neuron disease, it's not rare, but it's not that common either. You know, and you might feel like you're the only family and you're the only person feeling this way. Well, you're not. You know, you might be completely different to me, but you'll be going through exactly the same thing as me. So, you know, always know that you're not alone. And if you want any more advice or want to know any information about anything, or even a little bit more information about motor neuron disease itself, just comment. I can always make another video. This is my first proper video, so this is kind of a trial for me. So if there's anything else you want me to, you know, say, or I could do weekly videos. You know, I've got a bit more time on my hands now. I could do that with little updates, you know, new things. Anything really, just let me know in the comments section. Anyway, I hope this video has been useful to at least some of you. Just see how it goes really. Hopefully I'll hear from some of you soon. Comment and subscribe if you found this video useful. And thank you for watching. Goodbye.